Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session or community chat here on my channel. Today is Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I stumble over words and get into tangents and all of those fun things. No, really. I share with you some of the tips and tricks and techniques and things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to have a conversation about a topic or two or five. If you're not new here, then you know that usually today's poll is the topic for today. And that topic is, how do you currently feel about voiceover or audiobook audition rejection? Because I know, including myself and with the hundreds of people that I've worked with at this point, I've all felt the same way. You get an audition opportunity and you analyze the script and you read it 50 times and then you edit it 50 times and then you submit it, you put your heart and soul into it and you just give me that break, or just, I really want this one, or are they going to like me? And then you don't get the job. And then you sit and you think, okay, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe I should rethink this. I think we've all been there. I think I'm pretty certain that we've all been there. Let's get to the poll really quick and then we'll talk about it. So far we have 27 votes, and it looks like none of you said it shatters my confidence, so that's a good thing. I have heard some people say that before, but I don't know if it truly does, or maybe it's just a little bit of it feels more like a setback, or you're maybe not sure, but I don't think it really shatters confidence, which is a good thing. 26% of you said disappointed, but I keep going, which you should keep going. 36% of you said moving on, next. And then 39% of you said I haven't auditioned yet. So polls are changing. But it looks like the majority of you haven't auditioned yet. So I'm hoping that something we talk about today or something that I say will encourage you to keep going. Because one of the most important things to remember in this industry, really any business opportunity, any business industry, when there's sales involved, you're not going to be right for every project. Your voice and your delivery, your style is not going to be perfect. And I hate the word perfect. It's not going to be suitable. It's a better word for every project out there. Now, especially with audiobooks, I think, because some commercials and other things can be open, a little bit more open to, choice of what they choose, what sounds like a right fit at the time. But I think for audiobooks, it's a little bit more particular, meaning that the authors typically have a voice in their head as they're writing a book, right? Not just for the narrator, like a specific style or tone or accent, right? It could be any number of things. And then all of the characters, if it's fiction, right? All of the characters have a particular sound in the author's head. And so the author is going to choose a voice that is, very closely matched to the narrator voice, the style, the tone, the accent, and all of the characters. So it's sort of, and I've mentioned this before, it's sort of like a serendipitous moment where your audition lands in the lap of the person looking for you. So if you get an audition rejection, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're bad at this. It doesn't mean that your audio quality necessarily is, garbage. I know all the words that I think in my head, especially in the beginning, you're just like, everything's wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. That's not necessarily true. It's just that you're not the voice for that project at that time. So this is why you will probably often hear people saying, just keep auditioning. Just keep going. And don't just submit one audition and sit and wait. That's the worst thing you could do. Submit one audition and just sit and ruminate and cross your fingers and hope that you get it. And then base the whole future of this career on the result of that one audition. Please don't do that. Audition a lot. Audition often. Because again, you have to be the right voice for the right person at the right time. And in order to find that opportunity, you have to be auditioning often, all the time. So for like audiobooks, you should probably be auditioning depending on your schedule and other things, but set a goal for yourself. Some people audition 10 times a week. Some people audition 10 times a day. So set a goal for yourself, again, depending on your schedule and availability, and make sure that you hit that target. You could say daily, weekly, monthly. But my point is just to keep auditioning and to keep going. And you're not always going to get feedback, too. A lot of people ask about or get upset that the client didn't give them feedback on their audition. You have to remember that there are a lot of people vying for that spot. There's a lot of auditions for that client or author to go through. And to be honest, they're not really obligated to sit down and write feedback down for hundreds of auditions. So if you keep that kind of thing in mind, then it'll definitely help you to kind of move past some of these, trepidations or concerns that you may be having. Let's get to the comments, and I'm sure that some other things will come up. But if there was a response that wasn't in the poll, that was not an option, then please put that in the comments also. Let's go ahead and get rid of this, and we'll go over to the comments and see who's here. A lot of comments today. Thank you, guys. Let's see who's in first. Caesar, of course. Hey, Caesar, how you doing? Caesar says, oh, hi, Angela. Hope you're feeling, I am. Some sort of like a tummy thing. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know if I ate something that my tummy didn't agree with. I don't know. But I'm good. I'm good now. This is a tough one. I sit between disappointed and moving on. I feel at this point that, one, there's plenty more out there, which there is, and two, I'm confident in my sound. And I'm glad you brought that up, because if you are in the camp that perhaps you've gotten, especially if you're on the newer side, if you've gotten a few rejections on auditions, if you want to be sure, you want to get feedback, which I recommend you do at any point in your career, get feedback on your sound. Because as we talk about a lot, there's a lot of variables to everybody's recording space, right? Mic proximity, the mic you choose, the treatment that you've done to your room, your equipment, how everything is working in harmony together, especially when it comes to effects. I know, especially like for me in the beginning, there was so many videos on YouTube that voice actors will tell you what effects they use, why they use them, why you should use them. And then you're just slapping on a bunch of effects onto your audio. And when I say effects, I mean like noise reducers, deplosives, equalizers, mouth declicks. What's another one? Noise reducers, like you get my meaning. There's all kinds of different compression. There's all kinds of different effects that you'll be hearing. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you're like, okay, I'm going to slap this on. I'm going to slap this on. You may not need it, or the order in which you're applying it may be affecting your audio, or maybe your room isn't completely treated for echo, right? Reverb, and you need to focus on treating your space a little bit better. Maybe your microphone is turned around, which happens a lot. And if it's happened to you, don't feel silly. It happens a lot. Maybe the mic is directly in front of you and you're getting a lot of plosives. Maybe it's too far away and you're barely, there's a lot of things that could be happening. So getting feedback on your audio is definitely going to help improve your sound. And not just from like your partner or your mom, or get feedback from people who actually do this. And one great way that you can do that is to find a Facebook group that allows you to post demos for feedback. Like my group, the VO Workshop, I allow that. Not every Facebook group allows you to do that. So make sure that you check the rules and all the things before you join. But my group does. I allow you to do that, post a demo for feedback from the group. Or you can hire an audio engineer, right? There's a handful of voice actors / audio engineers that can help what they call do a booth audit, right? Or like a studio audit. And they'll make sure that your mic placement is right. They'll tell you if they hear anything in your audio that could be addressed, any kind of effects that you may or may not need, right? They'll help you to kind of dial in your sound, and they can do that remotely. It's definitely worth the investment, because that audition is your first impression, right? So if you are even the right voice at the right time for the right project and your audio quality isn't up to snuff, that could lose you the job too. So you want to make sure that your audio is dialed in. So thank you for bringing that up, Caesar. But I think for you, it's probably not a problem. Caesar says the disappointment stems more from, shoot, I have to scale down my shopping list. Yes, you are a collector, aren't you? I have to, humor aside, I can't please everyone. And I know that it has little to nothing to do with my acting or sound quality. And that is another great point. You cannot please everyone 100% of the time. You can't please 100% of the people 100% of the time. And so if you're a people pleaser, just side note, that's something else to remember. You cannot please 100% of people 100% of the time. You just can't. So you have to have the mindset that it's not necessarily me. It's just I'm not right for this part. But again, if you're concerned about audio quality, especially in the beginning when we don't know what the heck we're doing with anything, then get somebody to check it out for you. Caesar then says, it helps that over time I've received commendations from both seasoned voice actors and sound engineers who have given me props for my delivery and processing. And that really helps deal with rejection. Absolutely. Just knowing that you shouldn't have any audio quality concerns is a huge confidence boost for sure. Rustic Hillbilly says, hope you're all having a wonderful day. Morning, everyone. Morning to you. I hope everything is going well for you over there in Oregon, the wildfires. Caesar then says, that said, hello, everyone. This episode is timely. I have auditions sent out, and there's a little voice in me that's anxious and fretting. That'll never go away, I suppose, but don't let that stop you. Absolutely don't let that stop you, because it's normal. It's normal, and it's a human reaction to put your time and soul into something and to not receive the job for it, right? To not even get feedback or anything. And you just feel like that time was wasted. It wasn't, because at the very least, it was practice. At the very least, it was practice. Maybe you learned a little bit of something throughout the process, and that is great. That is better than if you just sat back and said, well, they're not going to like me. You didn't even try. I think with everything we do, we learn a little something. It's an opportunity to learn something. So just keep going. Just keep swimming. Paul Landergan, voiceover artist. How you doing? Put my coffee down so I don't spill it all over myself. Good day, all, from sunny Great Dunmow, Essex, UK. Once again, I can't stay, so getting my thoughts in early. I selected just move on, and realistically, I don't see what else you can do. And it's easier for some people to do that than others. Again, especially in the beginning, it's a little bit more difficult because there's a lot of doubt about your ability and your sound and all those things, and you could really take a rejection hard when you shouldn't. It's a learning process. It's growth. It's growing. It's a mindset that you need to adopt, and it really does help. But learning it early will definitely help you get further faster. Paul then says, I just did a quick calculation based on the numbers since I started logging auditions, and it goes something like this. Auditions submitted, 295. Projects awarded, around 30% success rate, around 30. So success rate about 10%, which is pretty typical. 10% is pretty typical. It's typical. I'm making up words again. That's, I think for pretty much everything that it's about 10% for sure. I'm suppressing the tangents. If you could tell, I'm fighting with myself. Paul then says, I'm happy with that. I'd be happier if it were 20%, but there's always room for improvement. Yeah, and don't beat yourself up over 20 or 10%. 10% is normal. Dylan says, good morning, all. Taking a break from trying to comprehend audio engineering jargon. At this point, I just move on, and I'm a little relieved. But I haven't auditioned in a while because, thankfully, I'm booked. It's a good feeling. Seriously, though, I don't know how engineers do it. I'm confused, perplexed, and confounded, all wrapped into one. This will take time. It absolutely takes time. Learning anything takes time. Give yourself some grace. Dwight says, good morning, everybody. Happy VO Day. Good morning, Dwight. Caesar says to Dylan, I told you, man, it's a voodoo in the beginning. After a long, long while, it becomes, drumroll, spell casting. And you, whooshy sounds, are the wizard. Caesar says to Dwight, actually has gotten rather good at dynamics processing and has processes set for tracking and mastering stages. It takes a lot of experimentation, trial and error, all played by ear. Absolutely. Dylan says to Caesar, that explanation was masterful. Right now, I'd settle for being a 2-bit magician that works little Timmy's bar mitzvah. Caesar says to Dylan, I love that analogy. All right, Timmy, pick a card. What was it? Was it the 2 of hearts? No? Well, your dad should have paid me better. Now get lost. Caesar, you should be a stand-up comedian. Dwight says, don't forget to like and follow and share. It really helps. Yes, it does. Listen to Dwight. Dwight's right. Dylan says, all right, Timmy, watch as I spectral denoise this track. Voila! Now it sounds like a recorded underwater. Dwight says, Angela, hope you're feeling better. We missed you last week in the workshop. Yeah, I hate missing those, but I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry about that, guys. Yes, all is better. Caesar says, I wonder if Angela should appoint a sub. I would happily take. I think we should talk, Caesar. Hopefully I won't miss any more. So far, we've only missed the workshops that fall on Thanksgiving here in the States. But I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry. My Cup of Tea 101 says, morning, y'all. Glad to be back in the live stream. How have you guys been? Fabulous, apart from last Thursday. Caesar says to My Cup of Tea, quietly dreading possible feedback on an audition I submitted that required a Spanish accent. Also, I clipped my toenails. Want to see? Caesar, all of the accents that I've heard you do have been pretty spot on. You're pretty good with accents. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Even if you get rejected for it, I wouldn't think that it would be your accent. It just might not be that you were the voice they were thinking of. So don't put too much weight on it, I suppose. Dylan says busy, thankfully. How about yourself? Dylan says to Caesar, we talked about this. Don't give those pics away for free. My cup of tea says been busy as well. To Caesar, I think of it as a learning opportunity. Maybe that'll help. You can show me your toes in Discord later this week. No toe pics in Discord. Donnie says there's no such thing as rejection. There's only motivation. Keep pushing, keep auditioning, keep reading. Don't stop. Well, except to pee maybe and take a shower. Please take showers. Brian says good morning. Good morning to you, Brian. Got some jokesters in here. My cup of tea says I look at rejections as a learning opportunity, which is the right mindset to have. Absolutely. Not the right fit, or they just got busy with the amount of submissions, which can also happen. Every time you see, like for ACX, for example, every time you see a listing for a new book to audition for, that author, I would really hate to be in that position because if you think about it, the author is probably receiving hundreds of auditions, hundreds, which is another reason why if you see something that you want, you need to audition for it as soon as you can and submit it as soon as you can, because you want to be in like that top 50, because they might stop listening after that point because there's just so many auditions to go through. They may not have the time, or maybe they found the voice that was good enough in the first 50. So don't hem and haw over it. If you see something that you want, audition for it as soon as you see it, if you can, or as soon as you can. Grant. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot the last sentence. Sorry. I stage act sometimes. The role just ain't the right fit. That's right. Sometimes it's not. Grant says good everything. Good everything to you too, Grant. That covers all of the time zones, morning, afternoon, evening, and middle of the night. Absolutely. John. Hey, John. Good morning, all. Back in AZ from Washington State. I think I came back too early. I think you did too, because we're still in for the heat for another couple months yet. Donnie says, thank you for the poll. I need to use it. Gear is expensive. Stop it, Donnie. Brian says, I feel awesome about what I have done, and then I wonder what's wrong with him. For you, Brian, I don't think it's you. I think you just probably weren't the voice they were looking for, because you've got a pretty versatile voice and your audio quality is pretty good. I mean, I can't think of anything that we need. I think it's more than likely not you. I think you just weren't the voice. Masonry Construction says, my favorite basketball team, San Diego State Aztecs, have a philosophy. When something doesn't go right, the coach says, next play. They block out the bad and embrace the future. Highly ranked team. That's right. And whatever has happened in the past, you can't sit and ruminate on it. Like you can't go, okay, well, I've done 20 auditions and haven't heard anything. You can't sit and just think about that as a bad thing. Think about that as 20 opportunities for you to learn something, and that you just weren't the right voice for that project. But you have to keep going to find that client that is looking for you. That could be your very next audition. And wouldn't it really stink if you gave up right before you booked that first job? So just keep going. John says, well said, Masonry Construction. You can't unring a bell. Not all feedback is helpful. That's true too. When you do get feedback, and the feedback is, I'm trying to think of an example. If it's vague or it doesn't really make sense, or maybe even condescending, or I think most of the time we hear robot. You sound like a robot. And that is because it sounds like you are reading words instead of like having a conversation. And that just takes practice to get past that. Or sometimes the client doesn't really know what they're looking for, and they're just looking for some inspiration through the auditions. I've had that happen too. Or maybe they're asking for something. Maybe they're asking for I don't know, an articulate voice, but really what they mean is engaging. Or maybe they just don't know yet. They're just looking for some inspiration through the auditions they get. Take what applies, dump the rest, and focus energy on what is in front of you. Absolutely. Well said, John. Most common feedback I hear is great voice, but I went with someone else. Yeah, thanks, but not helpful. And, I think it's nice that clients do that, to be honest. I like your voice, but I went with someone else. It doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. It just means that someone else was more, suited to the project than you. You were close and it was a tough decision, but they went with someone else. But if you look at that through a positive lens, as I'm always saying, look at everything through a positive lens, you'll be much better off. Trust me. If you look at that situation through a positive lens, that means that you're doing great because you were shortlisted, basically, right? You're doing great. So keep at it, right? It doesn't mean that you lost because you stink. It means that you're doing great. It's just that someone else was just slightly better suited to the project than you. That's it, right? Or the client has a really tiny budget and your price was a little bit bigger and the other guy's was just a little bit closer to their budget. That doesn't mean that you stink, right? It just means that that client had a small budget and the other guy fit it a little bit better. That's it. You can't beat yourself up about that. A lot of times I find that clients don't give you feedback at all. They'll just ghost you. You're either right or you're not. And they don't tell you. You just get that, on ACX, you get that there's more fish in the sea kind of an email, right? Keep going. But it's nice when they take the time to tell you that they chose someone else. Most of the time they won't tell you why. Sometimes they do. But I like it when they do that because at least they're a little bit more invested in the people involved, which is a nice thing. They're not just going to ghost you after an audition. Christine. Hey, Christine. Hello. Let's go back and check the poll really quick. Because this is an important chat, I think, for helping with mindset and imposter syndrome and things like that. So again, the poll today was, how do you currently feel about VO or audiobook audition rejection? Because a lot of people I know kind of take this hard if they don't get it. But we have 46 votes right now. So 2% of you at this point said it shatters my confidence. And it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Most of the time it has nothing to do with you in particular. 24% says disappointed, but I keep going. 39% of you, so now most of you at this point said moving on next, which is a better mentality to have. 35% of you said I haven't auditioned yet. Good. So far at this point, is anything that we're saying helping? Please put it in the comments and let me know. Is this helping you to see that you shouldn't feel bad about these things, that it might not be you? You're just not the right fit. Your voice is not the right fit for this project at this time. And believe it or not, a lot of clients, once you submit an audition, they go, oh, I really liked that. I'm going to save her for another project. But they don't tell you that. And then a year later or a couple years later, they'll say, hey, you auditioned for this thing a couple of years ago, this book. You weren't the right fit for it then, but I have this other book that I think you'd be perfect for. That happens. That does happen. So you can't think of every audition that you don't get as a failure or anything else. It's a learning opportunity. It's a chance to be heard. It's a chance to be discovered. So think of it that way. All right, let's get back to the comments and see if I can find where I left off. Let me take this banner off. And then find where I left off. I don't know why it just doesn't leave it there. Oh, I scrolled too far. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, so the next one is masonry construction. Your VO strategy, always be marketing. And an audition is a form of marketing. I audition almost every day, whether it be for VO or writing. At the very least, I look at the leads available, for sure. Pamela says, boy, I am late. I will bring gut bombs from Washington Fair next week. Donuts from Washington Fair? Have a good one. I'm actually on my way to the fair. See you all Thursday. Dang. Have some donuts for us, Pam. Dylan says, hi, Pam. Bye, Pam. Eric Grimes is here. Hey, Eric. How you doing, Mr. Grimes? If the author publisher reaches out personally to let me know, I make sure to thank them because they are the minority. Absolutely. Absolutely. If they do reach out to you and they tell you, hey, we really liked your audition, but it just wasn't right for this one, thank them for that. Thank them for the update. Thank them for reaching out to you. You want to keep encouraging that. Thank them for that because it shows your level of professionalism as well. Don't be boo-boo and go, forget that. I'm not going to talk to them. Thank them. Always thank them. Whether they give a reason or just say they chose someone else. Absolutely. I do it too. Always be professional. Always be treating people the way that you want to be treated. Right? Customer service. Wear your customer service hat. Jay Turk says, hi, Angela and everyone. Hello, Jay Turk. I'm new to VO and I'm loving all the videos. Well, thank you. I'm glad they're entertaining at least. Love this group so far. Got my studio set up and just started with Adobe Audition a couple weeks ago. Hope to audition very soon. Good. Get out there and audition. Like today. I mean, if you're still learning Adobe Audition, I get it. But audition. Tycon Delar says, I submitted 3 straight ACX auditions and quickly got rejection notices. It made me think they were saying, I don't know who we want, but we definitely don't want you. I got past that and kept auditioning. Good, because that's usually not the mentality. And they're only listening to the first few seconds of those auditions to see if you're the right voice, right? And if you are the right voice, they keep listening because they have so many auditions to get through. So you have to think of it from the client's perspective. They have probably hundreds of auditions to get through. And to be honest, they're probably only going to get through like the first 50, first 30. They may find a voice that's good enough, close enough within those first few. And they're only going to listen to the first few seconds. So that also goes, that is also a good thing to remember, that you don't want to have a bunch of silence at the beginning of your audition, half a second, maybe at the most. You want to get right to it, right? I wouldn't even bother with, excuse me, I wouldn't even bother with like chapter title or this is my audition or any of that. Get right to the copy because that's what they want to hear. They want to hear their words in your voice to see if you're going to fit that project. So get right to the copy, to the meat of the copy when you're auditioning. Froggy. Finn. Hey, Finn. Thank you, Angela. I've learned so much from your videos. I just need to give you the credit that your work deserves. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining, Finn. Dwight says, Angela, nothing for you to apologize for. We are all worried about you and for you. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. But thank you. I appreciate it. Mark Samuel says, good morning, Angela and all. Would you please comment on the need for ghosting in VO? The need for ghosting. I think that really just comes down to sort of what we've been talking about. Not every client has the time or the obligation to give anybody feedback or to let them know that they didn't get the job. You know, that's why we're saying that when you do get a response, thank them for it. Because that just shows your level of professionalism. And that might just be the thing to make you memorable for their next project that you would work for, right? Masonry Construction says, as a contractor and project manager in the past, I never expected to win every bid. And you shouldn't. You can't expect to win everything. If you do, you are doing something seriously wrong, such as pricing. Want to improve success? Bid $1 and win. Dumb. Always charge your worth. Don't like decrease your rates if you're not winning jobs. It's not your rates more often. It's just you're not the right voice at the right time for that project. Steady P says, still trying to edit so I can make my DIY demo so I can finally start auditioning. Well, I would audition first, and then you can use some of those audition bits for like a sampling demo. I wouldn't worry about the demo first. I would worry about auditioning first. And then at some point I should say that at some point you should get coaching and training as well. But we're talking mainly about audition rejection right now. Brian says, it should be pointed out that early on, it takes a lot longer to create the audition and it feels like a big deal. But the more I cut down on time to create the audition, it's easier to move on. Good. Yeah. Yeah, because the time invested, especially. We put our heart and souls into it, and it takes a lot of time, especially in the beginning when we're still learning everything. Auditions take a little bit longer than typical. And so we're just like, God, that was a waste of time. It wasn't. You probably learned a lot through that project, through that process, right? So don't like, hate on yourself and say that it was you, that you did something wrong, or you still learned something through their process. M. Todd Coyne says, how do you like your mic shock absorber? My 416 loves it. Amazing the difference in clarity I experience. Yep. What he's talking about is the mount that I have my 416 on. It's a shock absorber mount for a shotgun mic, and this is a shotgun mic. And what it does is if I bump the table, because I have a desk-mounted mic arm, so anytime I bump the table, it'll reduce the vibrations that make it into the microphone. So quiet, much more quiet. Any vibrations in the floor, even that the desk sits on, and then the mic arm sits on, and then the mic sits on, right? It reduces vibrations. So having a shock mount on your mic is definitely a good thing for any mic. I love it. It was a very smart purchase, and I'm glad that I did it, for sure. Finn says, I have a quite strong natural accent from Devon in the UK. This has the effect of making me sound like a Hollywood pirate, even though I'm Scots. I think that's awesome. I wish I would sound like a Hollywood pirate. But if you have a non-common accent, and when I say non-common, it's really just maybe you don't hear it that often, doesn't mean that it's not needed. Because again, and I've said this a million times, so I'm sorry, but voice actors represent the voices of the world. We represent the people within that world. So your voice is going to be needed for specific projects in specific places. So don't let the fact that you don't hear your accent or your dialect often discourage you from going out and doing this. But I would love to sound like a Hollywood pirate. Retro Life for You says, hello, everyone. Hope everyone is okay today. So far, so good. Retro Life for You. If I can say it. Chris Adams. I love the Deadpool. Sorry about that. Retro Life was me. I was on the wrong account. That's okay. Oh, we got a super chat. Hold on. I'm coming. Dylan. Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate you. My 1-year platinum group anniversary is this Thursday. Yay! Happy early anniversary. Here's a small coffee on me. Thank you for everything. Oh, Dylan, we should be sending you a coffee. Happy anniversary. Happy early anniversary. That's awesome. God, time goes so fast, doesn't it? I never would have guessed that. That's crazy. But thank you. Thank you for the super chat, Dylan. It is appreciated. Steady P says, I'm trying to find the best scripts to suit my voice the best. Don't worry so much about that. Just get doing it. Just go record something. Just get started. If you're having trouble finding copy to practice with, ChatGPT is a great place to start. You can make as many scripts as you want with if for any kind of situation, for any kind of read. I mean, how many times, if you're looking for, let's just say, if you're looking for commercial copy, how many times have you heard a commercial? How many times have you heard a phone greeting? How many times have you heard like an audio tour when you're walking through a museum? How many times have you heard an audiobook? You could probably write your own. But if you're looking for copy, either ChatGPT, if it's audiobook, you could go to projectgutenberg.org. There you can find books in the public domain. You can choose one of those to use as copy for a script. There's all kinds of different ways. So don't let that hold you back. Don't let anything hold you back. Go out, figure it out, and get it done, right? If you're having trouble finding the right solution or don't know where to look, then this is another instance where being part of a voiceover or audiobook community can be so valuable, not only for your mental health, but for asking questions and to getting past obstacles to keep moving forward, right? Or join my live streams every Tuesday and ask your question then, and I'll help you out as best I can. My cup of tea says, if they ghost you, does that mean you're scarily good? Yeah, every time they ghost you, you just go, ooh, or boo. Okay, that was a little lame. Dylan voiceover says, typically if an RH responds, it means that you made an impression. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. It can stick with them when they cast their next project. I've gotten a book offered to me from a situation like that. And yes, so have I. And a lot of other people have. So if you do have someone that says, hey, I gave it to somebody else, but thanks for auditioning, something like that, always, always, always thank them. Thank you for the heads up. Thank you for the update. I appreciate it. I'm glad you found the voice that works for you. Keep me in mind for future projects. It's seconds. It takes seconds to do, and it'll definitely be worth it. Donnie says, I will share what was taught to me here. We are our own worst critic. Absolutely 150%. We are. Stop the negative. Be positive. Be negative. Being negative only hurts you. 100%. 200%. Try to see everything through a positive lens. It's all about mindset reframing, right? I have a great course on my website about success mindset that shows you how to reframe your thinking from negative to positive. And looking at everything through a positive lens is definitely helpful in your own mental health, I think, and then encouraging you to keep moving forward, right? Florida D says, admittedly, I don't know anything about this. So from an outsider perspective, it would seem rights holders probably have a voice in their head. They do. And they're looking for the one that matches. Absolutely 100%. That's what they're doing. And they're only listening to the first few seconds of every audition because they have a lot to get through. And they're looking for that voice that best fits what they had in their head. Absolutely. Dylan says, absolutely. Twinsies. Chris says, I have had some time issues, but I have managed to get between 5 to 10 auditions in between books and YouTube creations. And so far, nothing. But I know that there will be something out there for me soon. And also keep in mind that the number of auditions that you submit doesn't necessarily equate to how good or bad you are either. Because I've known people that have submitted 2 audition and booked 2 jobs. And I've also known people that have booked 60 auditions and have booked nothing. Keep in mind that your audition has to cross paths with the author looking for your voice. So it's a very serendipitous moment. But in order to get that crossing, you have to keep auditioning. You have to keep going. Keep going. Just keep auditioning. So don't let the number of auditions that you've done dissuade you. Just keep going. Kathleen H says, I had trouble even attempting an audition until I tried a coaching session with a coach. He was non-judgmental and helped me a lot. Good. I think coaching and training, practice, mastermind groups, workshops, they're all good things. They're all good things to help you improve not only your sound, but understanding your DAW, your delivery, your performance. All of those things can be improved with coaching training. Absolutely. John says, my first audition was accepted 4 minutes after I submitted. I thought, this is going to be easy. Not so much. 3 months later, still waiting on number 2. Yeah, I think I don't want to say that's the worst, but that's very discouraging. If you book a job right away and then the next job takes months to come, I think it was just you were in the right place, you were the right voice at the right place at the right time for the first one, and it sort of set the tone. But you just got to keep at it. Just keep at it, John. Finn says, do you ever get supplied a character sheet describing the voice? Yes. I think it might be helpful if written in first person present tense. You can't always control how scripts are given to you. It's going to depend on what the client needs for whatever their situation. But yes, if we're talking like video games or even some e-learning projects that I've done, there's a specific character and a character voice that you're playing or portraying. Sometimes you will get a character sheet, and it is super helpful. They'll give you a picture of the character, like what their background is, what they're feeling in that situation, that sort of thing, what they should sound like, what they look like, descriptive. It's all very, very helpful to help. And sometimes they'll even give you like a reference video, like it should sound something like this, and then send you a link to a video that they saw that is close to the character that they're looking for. Yes. Donnie says, I have had a couple of auditions where I made it to the finals, and like Angela said, they kept my audition for future books. Good, because they do that. Dwight says to Jay Turk, in my honest opinion, audition no matter what. Set up completely or not. If you audition now when you don't know what you don't know, you will have a baseline to look back to see how you've improved. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Kathleen H says, good morning, by the way. Where are my manners? I brought some apple turnovers as an apology. Apple turnovers. My favorite are cherry, but I've never disliked or never been mad at any turnovers. I haven't met any turnovers yet that I don't like. Eric, yeah, I'm here, donuts. Thank you, Eric. Good to see you, my friend. Steady P says, great advice. Thank you, sir. Eric says to Dylan, congrats. Absolutely. Malcolm says, I've auditioned for a bit of stuff, but it seems I can never really pinpoint something that's in my range, which isn't wide by any stretch of the imagination. I thought the same thing. I thought I didn't have that much range, but I don't think there's anything in voiceover that I haven't done at this point. Thinking that I'm, some people have a range that's like this. It's like amazing, right? And then for me, I'm like, I could do like this stuff. But at this point, again, I think I've done just about everything. I've done a little bit of everything. So don't count yourself out. Don't ever count yourself out. Try everything. You never know what could be. Your money voice is the voice that you dislike the most, like the tone, the delivery, the style that, you don't think you like. Someone else will like it. It's really not up to you. It's up to what the client thinks, right? If you don't like your voice, it doesn't really matter. The client will like it. There might be a need for it somewhere, right? Don't let your own worst critic count you out before you even get started. Chris Adams says, is it better to have a desk mounted mic or maybe better using a floor stand mount? I've wondered that myself. I've tried both. I think no matter which way you go, have a shock mount for your microphone because it will absorb any kind of vibrations coming from the floor or from the floor to the desk to the mic arm, right? I think either way, have a shock mount for your microphone will definitely help. I am Paximus. Hey, Angela, how you doing and stuff? I've been doing a lot of reading practice and recording and hoping to send auditions by end of month. I was trying to, for the last month or less, figure out what my voice is not only best suited for, but what I enjoy to voice narrate. Okay, I hear this a lot, and I'm not picking on you, Paximus, but stop doing that. Stop trying to figure out and to fit your voice in a box. Just go out there with your regular, normal self, with your Paximus self, and try everything just as you are. Right? Just try everything because you never know. Because I thought I was only suited for audiobooks. I thought I was only suited for e-learning. Boy, was I wrong. I've been hired for just about everything at this point, thinking that, otherwise I would have just secluded myself into this little vein of voiceover when there's many of them and you could be suited for all of them. So don't count yourself out and stop trying to think of what you're best suited for. Try everything. Don't do that to yourself. Don't suppress your what could be a stellar career for you. Just go try everything. Mom look. Masonry Construction says, Angela, love your suggestion regarding ChatGPT. Have it create or even recall a speech by Winston Churchill, etc., and give it all you got, just like he did. Never give in. Never give in. Jay Turk says, yes, I will be in the next few days. Dwight, that is such excellent advice. I've been running an art business for years, painter, and looking back, never thought I'd get this far. Now to audition. Absolutely. And, to the point, there's, God, with all the voice artists that I've met over the years, they all come from different backgrounds. Right? Nobody that I know anyway, their very first job was voice acting, and that's all they've done their entire life. Many people have done other things. Like I come from the construction and automotive industry. That's where I started. That's where I spent most of my life doing those kinds of things. And there's also, we have a retired cop. We have, a lot of former DJs. We have school teachers. We have, all kinds of experiences prior to voiceover. Caesar says to Chris, I have both. I'd say it depends on how good your desk is. If you have a wobbly IKEA desk, get a floor stand with a boom. If you're limited in space, desk mounts are more compact. And that is a good point. I guess it's just going to depend on what you have room for in your recording space, whether it's a desk-mounted arm or a floor-mounted arm for your microphone. I chose desk mount because my room, although it doesn't look like it in the video, it is tiny. It's like smaller than a bathroom. It's like a 5x6 weird little room in my townhouse. So it's just going to depend on what you got room for. Christopher Powell is here. Hey, Christopher. I want to get started recording my samples, but my setup is unfavorable for background noise. I heard there are inexpensive services to digitally erase background noise. There is, but I would find out if there is a way to reduce the background noise at the root, at the cause, to figure out where it's coming from and move your mic away from it as much as possible. Most of the time, it's the computer that you're using to record on. The fan is making noise. Something within it is making noise. Sometimes your cables are not very good. So if you get really good cables, like mic cables, that'll help reduce some noise. Sometimes it's the HVAC system, like the air conditioner or the heater that's on, causing noise. And we don't realize that the microphone picks up everything. It's not going to just single out your voice. It's going to pick up everything that it's hearing around it, right? So the computer fan, the HVAC, a ceiling fan, it could be anything. The refrigerator on the other side of the wall. If you can figure out where the background noise is coming from and reduce that, it'll better serve you, because adding noise reducers in any way, shape, or form is going to destroy that audio quality a little bit. And if you go too heavy on background noise reducers, it'll destroy your voice a lot. It'll destroy your audio a lot. So you don't want to use them. Use them sparingly if you have to, especially like if we're talking audiobooks. If there's a noise, there's the noise floor restriction, right? You can't be any higher than negative 60 dB. So, see if you can figure out where it's coming from and reduce that instead of using effects, if you can. Christopher then says, thank you for your help. How long are samples meant to be? If we're talking like audiobook samples, perhaps, I'd say 2 to 3 minutes max. Same for audiobook auditions, 2 to 3 minutes max. If we're talking like commercials or anything else, 30 seconds is enough. Again, they only need like the first few seconds to listen to your voice to see if you're a fit. Audiobooks are going to be a little bit longer because there's usually a little bit more personality or character work, or, audiobooks are a little bit longer, obviously. So the samples or auditions will be a little bit longer, 2 to 3 minutes max for audiobooks. And then everything else, 30 seconds or less, maybe. My first ACX offer, I'm sorry, Ty Condolar. My first ACX offer was for a children's book. I never thought my voice would fit that genre, but the author loved it. See? Since then, it's been crickets, but I don't audition enough right now to do to day job. I get it. I had to come in here and audition at night after work or on weekends. Malcolm Lazyboy says, I actually auditioned for a character and the show creator decided to make a whole new character just for me. Well, there you go. It's awesome. Masonry Construction says, script idea. Jesus, Sermon on the Mount. MLK's I Have a Dream. JFK's We Will Go to the Moon. Lots of stuff. No royalties due. Practice being great. So use great examples. Practice and post them. Lots of great stuff today. Masonry Construction then says, Malcolm Lazyboy, don't worry about range. Consider how singers and musicians use unique arrangements and the same song sounds completely different. Malcolm Lazyboy to Masonry Construction, you're right, and thank you. Phil Candigit says, I started on ACX in early July, and I have already produced 8 books. Dang. They were all royalty shares, and I haven't seen a dime yet, but it's good practice. Absolutely. Positive mindset. Caesar says to Christopher Powell, what sort of background noise do you encounter? See, Caesar cannot resist trying to diagnose and fix your issue. That's how he's wired. Alex Jensen says, thanks for your advice. I tried a cheap arm for my mic, and it added an electric buzz. I assume it's because of the cheap part. I put foam under my desk stand for now. Usually an arm won't create buzz. It might be a vibration, perhaps, for that. Or it even could be that the cable isn't completely plugged in. You could try unplugging the cable from the microphone and then plugging it back in. Could be just a bad connection. Or if you're getting vibration, then a shock mount for your microphone might help with that too. All right, you guys, it's about that time. I'm going to head off and get some work done myself. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to take this comment back off. Sorry about that. I will be here next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel, Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. I do replay these. These are saved on my channel, so you can rewatch these. If you're in Team Replay, then leave your comments and thoughts down below. And these are also turned into podcasts. So if podcast is your preferred method of taking in information, these are also here on my channel under podcast. So with that, I will see you guys all next week. Bye.